Jefferson County Code at Law number 2 is in session. Court is in session and cause number M325476. Case is style the state of Texas versus Carolyn Marie Holloway. Ms. Holloway, is that your full name? How you doing, Ms. Holloway? I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking. Ms. Holloway, you're here represented by your attorney, Attorney Peter Dahl. Attorney Dahl, how are you doing?
Very good.
And the state is represented in this case by Attorney Kobe Hallfire. Attorney Hallfire, how are you doing?
Good, Judge.
Mr. Dahl, you wanted to approach the bench regarding this case?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you may go forward.
The previous prosecutor on side of this case was told the court that he was going to dismiss it, and she wants to know whether or not you wrote that down because there's no record of that.
Did I write it down?
Yeah, she said there wasn't a court.
Did
There's not a court reporter there.
Okay, I mean, okay. Let me ask you this here. Were you there? Did you write it down?
After I heard it.
Okay, you heard it.
But they
Hold on. Let's see if they might have some notes regarding the conversation that you and the previous prosecutor had.
Your Honor, in looking at the old system, there were no notes for the dismissal, but back in October of last year, it was JP reduction.
Oh,
And so that has been filed in the JP court, so we will be dismissing the
Okay.
case in here.
okay. Dismissal for JP reduction.
Yeah, well, that's
Okay.
not what he said, but I just wondered if he had written it. She wanted to know.
Okay, the notes that they have shows that it was a dismissal for JP reduction.
Believe me.
No, that's what I'm just saying what I'm just repeating what the prosecutor.
But you didn't write it
Said.
down. Like sometimes you write stuff
Well, I can check my notes.
down.
I can check and see if I wrote something on the docket sheet.
Okay.
Do we know what date that was?
Okay.
What was it the last setting or what setting was it?
It could have been.
Miss
Yes, sir.
Redmond, check and see when they had their
It
recess.
might have been March 13th.
Okay.
They just popped on here for this, bro.
Mr. Brown, please put your mic on mute. Thank you. Mr. Okay. Oh, it's a plea? Oh, we just happen to have a seat. Okay, it's a plea. Jefferson County Court at Law number 2 is back in session, according to session in 2 cases. First case is cause number M329372. And the second case is cause number M329374. Both cases are styled the state of Texas versus Gabrielle D. Fontenot. Ms. Fontenot, is that your full name? Ms. Fontenot, would you please raise your right hand? Ms. Fontenot, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Fontenot, you may put your hand down. How are you doing, Ms. Fontenot? You doing fine? Ms. Fontenot, you're representing your case by your attorney Terrence Allison. Attorney Allison is not here. However, standing in for Attorney Allison is Attorney Marivius Allen. Does Attorney Marivius Allen have your permission to stand in for Attorney Terrence Allison?
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Allen, how are you doing?
Good, Judge. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing fine. Now, Mr. Allen, do you waive a record in Ms. Fontenot's case?
Yes, the defense waives.
Okay. Ms. Fontenot, I have before me a document that is titled information. This information was filed in cause number M329372. And in this information that was filed by the Jefferson County District Attorney's Office, it alleges that on or about January 19 of 2021, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, that you committed the Class A misdemeanor offense of resisting arrest, search, transportation. Ms. Fontenot, do you understand what you have been charged with? And to this charge, Ms. Fontenot, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
Yes, sir.
Now, are you pleading guilty freely and voluntarily?
Yes.
And are you pleading guilty because you are guilty?
Yes, sir.
Miss, oh, wow, this thing is zoomed up. I gotta. Okay, Ms. Fontenot, I have before me a document that is titled misdemeanor plea admonishment. It is also labeled as State's Exhibit Number 1. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
On page 2 of this same document, Ms. Fontenot, there's a set of initials, GF, that are on the line next to a box that says check guilty. Ms. Fontenot, did you place your initials on this document?
Yes, sir, I did.
On the next page of the same document, there's a signature above the line that is titled defendant. Is this your signature?
Yes, sir.
And on the next page, or the next document, rather, this document is titled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Right of Appeal. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And is this your signature above the line that's titled defendant?
Yes.
At the top of this document, there are 2 boxes that are checked. The first box that's checked states that this is a plea bargaining case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that statement?
Yes, sir.
Second box that's checked states that you're waiving your right to an appeal, which means you're giving up your right to an appeal. Do you understand that statement?
Yes, sir.
What is the discovery certification? Okay, thank you. I also have a document that is titled Discovery Certification. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And is this your signature on the line that's tied to defendant?
Yes, sir.
Now, Ms. Fontenot, before you signed and initial both of these all of these documents, rather, did your attorney, Mr. Allen, go over these documents with you?
Yes, sir, he did.
And did you read and understand everything that he went over?
Yes, sir.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir, it is.
Ms. Fontenot, are you a citizen of the United States?
Yes.
State. I have before me State's Exhibit number 1. State, would you like to offer State's Exhibit number 1 in evidence?
Yes, Your Honor.
Any objections?
No objection.
No objection. State's Exhibit number 1 will be admitted into evidence. Mr. Allen, you have advised in counsel Ms. Fontenot. Is there any evidence that she is currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
No, sir.
Ms. Fontenot, your attorney, Mr. Allen, has advised and counseled you. Are you satisfied with his representation?
Yes, sir.
Has he provided fully effective and competent legal representation?
Yes, sir.
And your attorney of record, Attorney Allison, has advised and counseled you. Are you satisfied with his representation? Has he provided fully effective and competent legal representation? Ms. Fontenot, I will accept your plea of guilty. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your plea and waivers were freely and voluntarily given. And I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
We do, Your Honor.
And what is that agreement?
In exchange for a plea of guilty or no contest, states agreed to offer 3 days in Jefferson County Jail and court costs. She got credit for 3 days. This will be time served. Also an agreement for a plea in this particular case. The states agreed to dismiss M329-374, and we already have submitted that.
Okay. Ms. Fontenot, the state is offering that you serve 3 days in the Jefferson County Jail. However, you will not be required to serve any more time in the Jefferson County Jail because you've already served 3 days in the Jefferson County Jail. Therefore, you'll be given credit for the time that you have already served in this case. The court cost in this case is $292, but you would not be required to pay the $292 court cost because the time that you spent in jail has already paid it off. Therefore, the court cost will be taxed and retired. Ms. Fontenot, do you understand the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
And do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just?
Yes,
And do you accept the state's offer?
yes, sir.
Okay. Ms. Fontenot, I'll follow the plea bargain agreement that you have entered into with the state. Ms. Fontenot, we will move on to your next case. Next case is cause number M329374.
Yeah.
And in this case, Ms. Fontenot, I also have a information, and this information also was filed by the Jefferson County District Attorney's Office. And in this information, it alleges that on or about January 19 of 2021, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, that you committed the Class B misdemeanor offense of interfering with public duties. Hold on. Never mind. The next case is being dismissed, huh?
Yes.
Okay. And Ms. Fontenot, I have a dismissal before me in this case. And the court is assigning this dismissal as part of the plea bargain that you made in the previous case, cause number M329372. Okay.
Yeah.
Ms. Fontenot, this is going to conclude your cases. You're going to stand in front of our clerk right here to my right, follow her directions. Once you finish following her directions, you'll be free to go.
Ready to go.
You have a blessed day. And I think that dismissal is gonna be printing off.
Yes, I will print it here in just a second. I haven't
Okay.
started on the
Put one more time.
And that's
Okay.
the case. Thank you.
Okay, and you're free to go as well, Mr. Allen.
And Scott, if I could get your right thumbprint 3 times on this piece of paper. Thank you. And if I could, have you have a seat, it's just gonna take a minute for me to print that out. Thank you so much.
Okay. Macy, did your client show up? Okay, now we'll just move on to the next case.
Your Honor, I'm trying to get a hold of the testament. Guy, he did respond to me earlier when I after them
Okay,
about being in court today.
I see a Cameron Brown.
No, I don't-
That's a different person.
I don't think that's him.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Rojas? The- You have Padilla, Corbett, Ariel, Webster, Padilla? Is this a plea?
No, Judge, we're gonna be setting this on trial back
Okay,
after for a bench trial,
okay.
and he doesn't speak English.
Okay. Give us a we're gonna set it for a bench trial. How much time do y'all need?
Give him a month, yeah, whatever.
30 days?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's reset it on one of those dates. We know that, Mr. Rojas, you can get your reset. Once you get your reset from your, you can give it to your client.
Thank you.
All right. This is cause number M327738, case is styled the state of Texas versus Julio Cesar Perez.
He's present.
Okay. Now, Mr. Perez, he speaks Spanish?
He does speak Spanish, yeah.
Okay, Mr. Perez, your full name is Julio Cesar Perez,
Yes,
and Ms. Perez, you're represented in your case by Attorney Jared Gilthorpe. Attorney Gilthorpe, how are you doing?
doing well, just thank you.
Ask Ms. Perez how he is doing.
Muy bien.
Very well.
Bien,
thank you.
good.
And you guys?
Okay, I'm doing fine. Mr. Gilthorpe, what is your announcement in Mr.
For Mr. Perez?
Yeah.
Judge, we're ready, but I believe that case was.
We discussed Judge Dismiss Johnson's and we
to assign to the other prosecutor who's no longer
We
here?
assigned to someone else and.
just asked for one recess.
And we're
Okay.
not opposed, Judge.
Okay,
We're not stomping our feet or nothing.
okay, we're gonna keep it on the trial docket, so we're gonna reset it.
Yes, Judge.
Okay. Just, yeah. Okay. Next, Elvis Tavernier Cruz.
Yes.
Judge, this has been.
You need an interpreter too?
Yes, Judge.
Okay, now, Mr. Jared Gilthorpe is speaks Spanish, and he's interpreted for his clients in court previously, so Mr. Gilthorpe is going to interpret for Mr., is that Tavernier Cruz?
Tavernier.
Tavernier Cruz. Ask Mr. Cruz how he's doing. You doing good?
Well,
Well, okay. Now, Mr. Gilthorpe, what is your announcement in this case? Same,
Judge, well, actually, we've agreed to a JP reduction. But
Okay.
called down, so we just need a short reset, but if he brings it up today,
how much time does he need to pay it?
we'll have it paid later today, Your Honor.
Okay,
just for the purposes of the court, let's just reset it
1 week.
1 week and then.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
Let him wait.
That'll work. Good.
Mr. Dahl?
okay, so the JP reduction reset 1 week.
Yes, and we'll have that.
Okay,
That to the DA's office shortly.
It's been called.
Okay, good. all right. Okay,
Okay.
That's how much time she needs to pay it? Let's say, the original fine was how much? So she's gonna need about, I'll just say about, let's say 250. It's gonna probably be less than that, because I don't think the court cost is gonna be 150. Court cost probably gonna be somewhere in line about, JP court cost gonna probably be somewhere around $100 or less.
Let me look.
So she need 30 days to be enough time for you?
Yeah.
Okay, reset it 30 days.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Jefferson County Court, Number 2 is back in session. The court is in session. in cause number M 332-066. Case is filed, the state of Texas versus Oscar Samiz Zampop.
Yeah.
Mr. Zampop is represented in this case by Attorney Charlie Rojas. Attorney Rojas has informed the court that Mr. Zampop. Okay.
No.
Yeah,
Maybe number one.
What is that?
Pennery, my client's not showing like.
Okay, let me reset there.
Oh, absolutely.
To make sure.
Yeah, I mean.
okay. Okay, the court is in session. Okay, y'all, the court is in session. Okay, this is cause number M 332-066. Case is style, the state of Texas versus Oscar Samiz Zampop. Mr. Zampop speaks Spanish, his attorney, Attorney Rojas, also speaks Spanish and English. Attorney Rojas is going to interpret. Attorney Rojas, would you please raise your right hand? Attorney Rojas, do you swear to interpret Spanish to English and English to Spanish, so help you God?
I do.
Attorney Rojas, how are you doing?
Doing well, Judge.
Ask Mr. Zampop how he's doing. Okay,
I'm good.
good. Now, Mr. Zampop, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Zampop, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
Yes,
You may put your hand down. Mr. Rojas, do you waive a record in Mr. Zampop's case?
we do, Your Honor.
Mr. Zampop, I have before me a document that is titled Information. This information was filed by the Jefferson County District Attorney's Office. In this document, it alleges that on or about November 17th of 2021, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, that you committed the Class A misdemeanor offense of driving while intoxicated with an alcohol concentration level of 0.15 or more. Mr. Zampop, do you understand what you have been charged with?
Yes.
And to discharge Mr. Zampop, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
Guilty.
Guilty? Now, are you pleading guilty freely and voluntarily?
Yes,
And are you pleading guilty because you are guilty?
yes,
Mr. Zampop, I have before me a document that is titled Misdemeanor Plea Admonishments. Do you recognize this document?
yes,
On page 2 of this same document, there are a set of initials OS. Is that OS? Didn't put his last initial, T. Mr. Zampop, there are a set of initials OST on the line that's titled guilty. Did you place your initials on this document?
yes,
On page 3 of this same document, there is a signature above the line that is titled defendant. Is this your signature?
yes,
On the next document that's titled trial court certification of defendant's right of appeal, do you recognize this document?
yes,
And is this your signature on the line that's titled defendant?
yes,
There are 2 boxes that are checked at the top of this document. The first box that's checked states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that statement?
yes,
The second statement states that you are waiving your right to an appeal, which means you are giving up your right to an appeal. Do you understand that statement?
Yes.
I also have a document on paper that is titled Discovery Certification. Do you recognize this document? And is this your signature on the line that's titled Defendant?
Yes.
Now, Mr. Zampa, going back to State's Exhibit number 1, there's a set of initials, OST, below a paragraph that is titled Citizenship. And I will go over this paragraph with you. And it states, if you are not a U.S. citizen, a plea of guilty or no contendere may result in your deportation, exclusion from admission to the country, or denial of naturalization under federal law. Do you understand this statement?
Yes.
I also have before me a document. It's in Spanish, but I also have it in English, and it's titled Spanish for all foreign nationals except those from that mandatory notification countries. Mr. Zampop, are you a U.S. citizen?
No.
Okay. Now, this document that I have that's in Spanish, I see a signature on this document. Is this your signature?
Yes.
And is this your attorney's signature as a witness to this document? And the last sentence in this document states, do you want us to notify your consular officers at this time? And there's a circle on no. And is that your choice?
Yes.
Okay. Now, Mr. Rojas, pursuant to the case of Padilla versus Kentucky, did you admonish your client about the consequences of entering a plea of guilty or no contest since he is not a U.S. citizen?
I did, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, Mr. Padilla, Mr. Zampa, all of these documents that I just showed you, before you sign and initial these documents, did your attorney go over these documents with you in Spanish?
Yes.
And did you understand everything that your attorney went over?
Yes.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Shearer, I have before me State's Exhibit number 1. Mr. Shearer, would you like to offer State's Exhibit number 1 into evidence?
State what you are.
Any objections, Mr. Rojas?
No objection.
No objections. State's Exhibit number 1 will be admitted into evidence. Mr. Rojas, you have advised and counseled Mr. Zampa. Is there any evidence that he is currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
No, Your Honor.
And Mr. Zampa, your attorney, Mr. Rojas, has advised and counseled you. Are you satisfied with his representation?
Yes.
Has he provided full, effective, and competent representation?
Yes.
Mr. Zampa, I will accept your plea of guilty. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your plea and waivers were freely and voluntarily given. And I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain? Do we have a plea bargain agreement?
Yes, Your Honor, we do. The agreement is for Mr. Zampop to serve 90 days in Jefferson County Jail. However, that time will be probated over 1 year. He
Okay,
will pay a $750 fine,
$750,
have hours of community service, and have a interlock requirement on. the-
$6 community service. Okay, the person that's on Zoom that has OnePlus GN 2200, please put your mic on mute. Thank you. Okay. Okay, Mr. Zampop. The state is offering that you serve 90 days in the Jefferson County Jail, but you will not be required to serve any time in the Jefferson County Jail because you'll be placed on probation for 1 year. During the 1 year period, you'll be required to pay a fine of $750 and court costs of $407. You will also be required to pay $60 a month in probation fees. You'll also be required to pay $15 a month in a urinalysis fee. And you'll also be required to pay Jefferson County $15 reimbursement fee. Your total monthly installments, that is the total amount that you will be required to pay each month, is $188. You'll also be required to pay $125 fee to Jefferson County DW education class and initial evaluation. Should a further evaluation be needed, you will be required to pay an additional $50. Will you be able to pay the $188 each month?
Yes.
And the initial evaluation fee?
Yes.
Okay. You'll also be required to perform 60 hours of community service. You'll be required to install an interlock device on any vehicle that you own or operate. You'll be required to attend and complete a DW education class. You'll also be required to have a drug and alcohol assessment. And you will be required to adhere to the other standard terms and conditions of your probation? Do you understand the state's offer?
Yes.
Do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just?
Yes.
And do you accept the state's offer?
Yes.
Mr. Zampa, I'll follow the plea bargain agreement that you have entered into with the state. Mr. Zampa, this will conclude your case. Please stand in front of our clerk. Once you finish with the clerk, you'll be free to go and you have a blessed day. And Mr. Rojas, you'll be free to go as well and you have a blessed day. Thank you.
I need his right thumbprint each time.
Mr. Boudreaux, are you ready on your case?
Was that was Mr. Chair the prosecutor on this case?
Yeah. Joshua Burns. This is cause number M330394. Case is style the state of Texas versus Joshua Aaron Barnes. Mr. Burns, is that your full name? Mr. Barnes, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Burns, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth so help you God? Mr. Burns, you may put your hand down. How are you doing, Mr. Burns? I'm doing fine. Mr. Burns, you're here represented by your attorney, Attorney Donald Boudreaux. Attorney Boudreaux, how are you doing?
Just fine, sir, and you?
Oh, I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking, Mr. Boudreaux. Mr. Boudreaux, do you waive a record in Mr. Burns' case?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Burns, I have before me a document that is titled Information. This information was filed by the Jefferson County District Attorney's Office. In this information, it alleges that on or about April 9th of 2021, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, operating a motor vehicle, that you committed the Class A misdemeanor offense of driving while intoxicated with an alcohol concentration level of 0.15 or more. Mr. Burns, do you understand what you have been charged with?
Yes, Your Honor.
And to this charge, Mr. Burns, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
No contest.
Now, are you pleading no contest freely and voluntarily? And are you pleading no contest because you do not wish to fight or contest the charge? Mr. Burns, I also have before me a document that is titled Misdemeanor Plea Admonishment. It is also labeled as State's Exhibit Number 1. Do you recognize this document? On page 2 of this same document, Mr. Burns, there are a set of initials on a line next to a box that's checked no contendere, which means no contents. Did you place your initials on this document? On the next page of the same document, there is a signature above the line that is titled defendant. Mr. Burns, is this your signature? On the next document that's titled trial court certification of defendant's right of appeal, do you recognize this document? And is this your signature on this document? At the top of the same document, there are 2 boxes that are checked. The first box that's checked states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that statement? The second box that's checked states that you are waiving your right to an appeal, which means you are giving up your right to an appeal. Do you understand that statement? I also have before me a document that is titled Discovery Certification. Do you recognize this document? And is this your signature on the line that's titled Defendant? Mr. Burns, before you sign and initial all of these documents that I have just showed you, did your attorney go over these documents with you?
Yes, sir.
And did you read and understand everything that he went over? And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge? Mr. Burns, are you a citizen of the United States? State, I have before me State's Exhibit number 1, the misdemeanor plea admonishment, and State's Exhibit number 2, the probable cause affidavit. State, would you like to offer State's Exhibits 1 and 2?
We would, Your Honor.
Any objections?
No, sir.
No objections? State's Exhibits 1 and 2 are admitted. Mr. Boudreaux, you have advised and counseled Mr. Burns. Is there any evidence that he is currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
No, sir.
Mr. Burns, your attorney, Mr. Boudreaux, has advised and counseled you. Are you satisfied with his representation?
Yes, sir.
Has he provided full, effective, and competent legal representation? Mr. Burns, I will accept your plea of no contest. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your plea and waivers were freely and voluntarily given. And I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement in this case?
We do, Your Honor.
And what is that agreement?
State agreed to recommend in exchange for plea of guilty no contest, 180 days probated for 1 year, $1,000 fine, court costs, 48 hours community-based service.
You said 48 hours?
48 hours. Okay.
Okay.
Device and all other standard terms and conditions on the UWI.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Mason, you got to be quiet. And sir, Mr. Rising, you got to be quiet. The court is in session.
I'm sorry, Judge.
Okay, now, let's see. Mr. Barnes, the state is offering that you serve 180 days in the Jefferson County Jail, but you would not be required to serve 180 days in the Jefferson County Jail because you'll be on probation for 1 year. During the 1 year probationary period, you'll be required to pay a fine of $1,000 plus court costs of $467. You will also be required to pay a probation fee of $60 each month. You'll be required to pay a urinalysis fee of $15 each month. And you'll be required to pay Jefferson County a reimbursement fee of $15. You'll also be required to pay Jefferson County DWI education and initial evaluation fee of $125 on the day of the plea. Should a further evaluation be needed, you'll be required to pay an additional $50. Now, your total monthly installments, that is the total amount that you'll be required to pay while you are on probation, is $216 each month. Will you be able to pay the $216 each month?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
You'll also be required to perform 48 hours of community service. You'll be required to install an interlock device on any vehicle that you own or operate, attend and complete a DWI education class, have a drug and alcohol assessment, and you'll be required to adhere to the other standard terms and conditions of your DWI probation. Now, Mr. Burns, do you understand the state's offer?
Yes, Your Honor.
And do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just? And do you accept the state's offer? Mr. Barnes, I'll follow the plea bargain agreement that you have entered into with the state. Mr. Burns, you're gonna stand in front of our clerk to my right. Follow her directions. Once you finish following her directions, you'll be free to go. You have a blessed day, and Mr. Boudreaux, you'll be free to go as well. And you have a blessed day.
Judge, may I ask, he's a resident of Galveston County.
You can talk to the probation officer, yeah, for a transfer.
Thank you, Judge.
Okay. Okay, right here.
Yeah, I have a quick question.
Okay, this is cause number M 333-766. Case is style of state of Texas versus Darren Ryan Renfro. Mr. Renfro, is that your full name?
Yes.
Mr. Renfro, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Renfro, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God? Mr. Renfro, well, you can put your hand down. How are you doing, Mr. Renfro?
Good.
I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking. Mr. Renfro, you're here represented by your attorney, Attorney Willard Hall. Attorney Hall, how are you doing?
Right, Your Honor.
Mr. Hall, do you waive a record in Mr. Renfro's case?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Renfro, I have before me a document that is titled information. This information was filed by the Jefferson County District Attorney's Office. In this information, it alleges that on or about August 29th of 2022, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, that you committed the Class A misdemeanor offense of driving while intoxicated with an alcohol concentration level of 0.15 or more. Mr. Renfro, do you understand what you have been charged with?
Yes.
And to this charge, Mr. Renfro, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest? Now, are you pleading guilty freely and voluntarily?
Yes.
And are you pleading guilty because you are guilty? Mr. Renfro, I also have before me a document that is titled misdemeanor plea admonishment. It is also labeled as State's Exhibit Number 1. Do you recognize this document?
Yes.
On page 2 of the same document, there's a set of initials that's on the line next to a box that says check guilty. Did you place your initials on this document?
Yes.
On the next page of the same document, there's a signature above the line that's titled defendant. Is this your signature? On the next document that's titled trial court certification, the defendant's right of appeal, you recognize this document?
Yes.
And is this your signature on the line that's titled defendant?
Yes.
There are 2 boxes that's checked at the top of this document. The first box that's checked states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Second box that's checked states that you're waiving your right to an appeal, which means you're giving up your right to an appeal. Do you understand that statement? I also have a document that is titled Discovery Certification. Do you recognize this document on paper? And is this your signature on the line that is titled defendant?
Yes.
Now, Mr. Renfro, before you signed and, excuse me, before you signed and initialed all of these documents that I've just mentioned to you, did your attorney, Mr. Hall, go over these documents with you?
Yeah.
And did you understand, did you read and understand everything that Mr. Hall went over?
Yes.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge? State, I have before me State's Exhibit Number 1. State, you like to offer State's Exhibit Number 1?
Yes, Your Honor.
No
Any-
objection.
No objection. State's Exhibit Number 1 will be admitted. Mr. Hall, you've advised and counseled Mr. Renfro. Is there any evidence that he is currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Renfro, your attorney, Mr. Hall, has advised and counseled you. Are you satisfied with his representation? Has he provided full, effective, and competent legal representation?
Yes.
Mr. Renfro, I will accept your plea of guilty. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your plea and waivers were freely and voluntarily given. And I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
We do, Your Honor.
And what is that agreement?
In exchange for plea of guilty or no contest, the state's agreed to recommend 90 days probated for 1 year, a $600 fine and court costs, 40 hours community-based service, interlock device, and all other terms and conditions for DWI.
Okay. Now, Mr. Renfro, the state is offering that you serve 90 days in the Jefferson County Jail. However, you will not be required to serve 90 days in Jefferson County Jail because you'll be on probation for 1 year. During the 1 year probationary period, you'll be required to pay a fine of $600 plus court costs of $402. You will also be required to pay a probation fee of $60 each month, a urinalysis fee of $15 each month. You'll be required to pay Jefferson County reimbursement fee of $15. You'll also be required to pay the Jefferson County DW education class and initial evaluation fee of $125 on the day of the plea should a further evaluation be needed. You'll be required to pay an additional $50. Now, your total monthly installments, that is the total amount that you'll be required to pay while you're on probation, is $174 a month. Will you be able to pay the $174 each month?
Yes, sir.
You'll also be required to perform 40 hours of community service. You'll be required to install an interlock device on any vehicle that you drive or operate. You will be required to attend and complete a DW education class. You'll be required to have a drug and alcohol assessment, and you will be required to adhere to the other standard terms and conditions of your probation. Mr. Renfro, do you understand the state's offer?
Yes.
Do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just? And do you accept the state's offer? Mr. Renfro, I'll follow the plea bargain agreement that you have entered into with the state. Mr. Renfro, just have a seat. Our clerk is going to call you back up to her window when she's ready for you. And once you finish following the directions of our clerk, you'll be free to go, and you have a blessed day. Mr. Hall, you'll be free to go as well, and you have a blessed day.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yeah, Mr. Mason.
Your Honor, Mr. Hernandez is present.
Oh, yes,
in the courtroom.
you can call him up. You ready on it?
He has a pending felony.
Okay, just have him to come on up.
Cameron Hernandez.
Cameron Hernandez, John Macy. It's on the announcement docket, page 2, the last case. This is cause number M322936, case to style the state of Texas versus Cameron Austin Hernandez. Mr. Hernandez, is that your full name?
Yes, sir.
How are you doing, Mr. Hernandez?
How are you?
I'm doing fine, Mr. Hernandez. You're represented in your case by your attorney John Macy. Attorney Macy, how are you doing?
Fine, Your Honor. Thank you.
Mr. Macy, what is your announcement in Mr. Hernandez's case?
Your Honor, Mr. Hernandez has pending felony case. There was a little confusion. That's why it didn't end up on the docket today. I had been setting his misdemeanors along with his felonies since July of 2022.
Okay,
But for some reason it wasn't on there, and there was some confusion because he had a bond forfeiture and that case was dismissed. And so when that case got dismissed, and I have a copy of it, I didn't want to see it, but anyway, Judge, that case got dismissed, and so Mr. Hernandez thought it was dismissed, but anyway, somehow it fell off of Judge Stevens' docket. I talked to Ellie this morning and to ask her why, it wasn't on her docket because it had been following hers. And so she informed me that she was gonna put it back on her docket for probably the end of this month or something like that.
So you want this case reset with that case? Is that what you asked?
Yeah, yes.
She
Oh.
didn't give the date. The date.
She didn't do it yet. She just gave me verbally said she was probably gonna do it on the 30th or 31st of this month. It's a little early for our case, but anyway, I don't know when she's gonna
So
actually,
it hadn't been reset yet? That's what you're saying?
not when I talked to, which was about 8 o'clock or 8:30.
This morning? Okay.
So,
So you just need, Miss Redmond, would you be able to check that later on today or tomorrow?
Can, but if she gives it to you, can you call me?
yeah.
You give reset
just
date and
have
call
it
us?
and
Okay.
Send me a copy of the reset date.
You know, I mean, when you find out.
Oh,
Her,
I can try to, sure.
get it?
Okay.
Be happy to.
Okay, so this case will be reset with your felony case, Mr. Hernandez. Stan,
But Mr. West represents him in that case, Judge. But
Were you
anyway,
talking about the
I'll be
felon?
happy to do it.
okay,
There's a copy of her picture.
okay. But just let us know when that case is reset and we'll reset it with his felony case.
Thank you, Judge.
We reset, okay, y'all free to go? You have a blessed day.
Thank you.
Mr. Patrick,
Yes,
what was the case you were asking me about?
I had some two papers filed on Jorge Vargas.
Mr. Reynolds,
Yeah, I think I already did.
Victor Ramirez,
So this one of the cases that
was it Lamar?
Lamar.
Okay, Lamar resigned. So they haven't had a prosecutor assigned yet. So,
His case is reset.
yeah, they're gonna, yeah.
Okay.
That's why I mentioned it to you.
Okay.
The state was not ready because they didn't have a prosecutor.
Okay.
We'll ready next time.
Okay. That's him right there.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Victor Guadalupe Ramirez.
Sir.
Cause number M332-382 and cause number M332-380. Both cases, filed state of Texas versus Victor Guadalupe Ramirez. Mr. Ramirez, how are you doing?
Good, how are you, sir?
I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking, Mr. Ramirez. You're here represented by your attorney, Attorney Nathan Reynolds. Again, Attorney Reynolds, how are you doing?
Doing well.
And now these cases are going to be reset. Is that correct, Mr.
Yes.
Farquhar?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Okay, the prosecutor has not been assigned as of today. And so what we're gonna do is reset your case and keep it on the trial docket.
Yeah.
Okay, give us a reset date. And just for Mr. Ramirez, just to inform you, the prosecutor who was handling the case is no longer working with the district attorney's office. And so they have to get another prosecutor to get assigned to the case.
Or I'll take care of it.
Yeah. Okay, all right. What date? Okay, this case reset July 31st. Y'all free to go. Once you get your reset, you're free to go. Y'all have a blessed day.
Thank you, Judge.
All right. 31st, 2023. Where's Mr. 31st?
They haven't set it up. Yeah, that's, I'm gonna get it for you.
Judge, you said Mr. Rosenberg and pay his foot. That was Mr. Holmes.
Yeah. Yeah, we already did that, right?
Yes, I was.
Yeah, he didn't say, yeah, he said he was able to pay. Um. It's gone.
I'm working on it right now. Sure.
Where's,
He's coming, Judge.
okay.
Sorry, he was across the hall.
And this is cause number M329196. Case is filed the state of Texas versus Brian K. Walker. Mr. Walker, is that your full name?
Yes, sir.
How are you doing, Mr. Walker?
All right, how much is it?
I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking, Mr. Walker. You're here represented by your attorney Ryan Gertz. Attorney Gertz, how are you doing?
I'm good, Judge.
Attorney Gertz, what is your announcement in Mr. Walker's case?
Judge, we have a new offer in the case that I'd like to go over more thoroughly with my client. If I could get a short, maybe 30-day reset
Okay,
to do that. I'm also up against a deadline in federal court and I just can't do it today. So
understand.
uh,
Give us a reset date.
June 19th.
Okay, this will be reset to June 19th of 2023. Mr. Walker, your attorney is going to get your reset. Once you get your reset from your attorney, you'll be free to go and you have a blessed day. Okay,
thank you, Judge.
all right, thank you. And you're free to go as well, Mr. Gertz.
Thank you, Judge. I appreciate it.
Okay,
Now, ask one other thing.
you have another,
I have a single setting on Friday. Can I?
you have a single setting on Friday.
Yes, Judge, I have a setting in your court on
Okay.
Friday. I was wondering, are we still allowed to appear by Zoom?
Yeah.
I may be out of town.
Yeah, it's not a hearing.
I'll be here in person.
Okay, it's not a hearing.
It's just an announcment.
Okay, that's fine.
And I'm gonna ask for a resetting of that.
Well, I mean,
day.
you could always do your you can ask for recess before that day.
Okay,
If you want to do it today, it's fine. If you want to do it,
We don't object.
yeah.
thank you, Judge. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, that's the court's rules. Now, Mr. West, what? It's on the trial docket. Hold on a minute. Let me find it.
On the front.
I'll do it.
Oh, it's the last one on the docket. Yeah.
Your Honor, we come to, I think we come to.
Is that Mr. Denson?
Yes.
Is he's here? Mr. Denson, would you please come forward? This is cause number M330682. Case is styled the state of Texas versus Joby Jerome Denson. Mr. Denson, is that your full name?
Yes.
How you doing, Mr. Denson? I'm doing fine. Now, Mr. West is representing you. Mr. West, again, how are you doing?
Good, Your Honor, thank you.
And what's your announcement in Mr. Denson's?
Your Honor, we've come to, I think, an agreement.
Agreement
with
on
the
it?
state,
Okay.
But the agreement is for him to pay some restitution.
Okay.
We're gonna need some time from him.
How much time does he need?
He requested a much longer time. I know the court's. normally-
60 days is all right with us, Judge.
That's what we normally do, about
That's what
60.
I'm saying, 60 days, and if he still has some problems at that point, we can come back and address it at that point.
Yeah, at that point, yeah.
It's a substantial amount, Judge.
It
Well,
is.
right, we'll revisit it, but if 60 days you can do it, that's fine.
Yeah, and if he can't, then we can revisit and determine how much more time he needs, but because it's not,
Okay,
It's not a small
it's
amount.
not a couple $100, it's something.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. Just hold on a minute.
Sure.
Take it off.
Miss Redmond, the last case on the trial docket, Joby Jerome Denson. We're gonna reset about 60 days, give him time to pay restitution.
We just place it on an announcement.
Yeah,
on the Judge.
Is it, you gonna put out an announcement?
Yeah, it doesn't need to be on the
Okay.
trial docket.
So he's paying restitution, right?
And restitution.
Give us a date.
Okay. July 31st.
Okay, that's fine, that's, yeah,
More than 2 months, that's perfect.
yeah, it's about, yeah. About 75 days right there, something like that. Okay, so that's July 31st, you said?
Yes.
Okay, this case will be reset to July 31st on the announcement docket. Give you opportunity to get the money to pay the restitution. Now, you're welcome. Now, Mr. Denson, your attorney is gonna get your reset. Once you get your reset from your attorney, you'll be free to go and you have a blessed day.
Okay.
Jefferson County Code Law number 2 is back in session. The court is in session and calls number M331616. Case is style the state of Texas versus Kishore Penaroo. Excuse me, Kishore Penaroo. Mr. Penaroo, is that your full name?
No, sir. It's Venkata Kishore Yadav Punel.
Okay. And would you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God. Mr. Penaroo, you may put your hand down. Mr. Penaroo, how are you doing? You doing good?
Yes, sir.
I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking. Mr. Penaroo, you're here represented by your attorney, Attorney J. Michael Reisinger. Attorney Reisinger, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, Judge.
Mr. Reisinger, do you waive a record in Mr. Penaroo's case?
We do, Your Honor.
Mr. Penaroo,
Yes, sir.
I have before me a document that is titled Information. This information was filed by the Jefferson County District Attorney's Office. In this information, it alleged that on or about October 23rd of 2020, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, that you committed the Class A misdemeanor offense of prostitution. Do you understand what you have been charged with?
Yes, sir.
And to this charge, how do you plead guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
You do, Your Honor.
Now, you're pleading guilty freely and voluntarily,
Yes, sir.
and are you pleading guilty because you are guilty?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Penaroo, I also have before me a document that is titled Misdemeanor Plea Admonishment. This document is also labeled as State's Exhibit Number 1. Mr. Penaroo, do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
On page 2 of this same document, Mr. Penaroo, there are a set of initials that are on a line that's next to a box that's checked guilty. Did you place your initials on this document? Now, Mr. Penaroo, I'm looking at these initials. The initials that's on this document is that UK?
VK.
VK. Okay, I think you have to put your initials, I think, the P, you have to put the P on Penaroo, your last
Sorry.
name. Okay,
You want him to just initial the
you could,
KP?
KP, that's fine. Sure.
Initial KP.
All right, thank you, Mr. Reisinger. Mr. Penaroo. Now, are these your initials on the line next to box that says check guilty?
Yes, sir.
On page 3 of this same document, there's a signature above the line that's titled Defendant. Is this your signature?
Yes, sir.
On the next page is the next document that is titled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Right of Appeal. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And is this your signature on the line that's titled Defendant?
Yes, sir.
There are 2 boxes that are checked at the top of this document. The first box that's checked states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that statement?
Yes, sir.
The second box that's checked states that you are waiving your right to an appeal, which means you're giving up your right to an appeal. Do you understand that statement?
Yes, sir.
I also have before me a document that is titled Discovery Certification. Mr. Penaroo, do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And is this your signature on the line that's titled Defendant?
Yes.
Now, Mr. Penaroo, before you signed and initialed all of these documents that I showed you earlier, did your attorney, Mr. Reisinger, go over these documents with you?
Yes, sir.
And did you read and understand everything that Attorney Reisinger went over with you?
Yes, I did.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Penneru, are you a citizen of the United States?
No,
Okay. Mr. Penneru, what country are you from?
India. India.
India? That's not one of the mandatory notification countries. He has to, Mr. Reisinger, he has to fill out this form. The first portion applies to him. It tells him about his right to have representation, have the consulate be notified, and whether or not he wants to contact the consulate's office. We'll go back to State's Exhibit number 1. Mr. Penneru, I'm going back to State's Exhibit 1, the misdemeanor plea admonishment. At the bottom of this document, there's a paragraph that's titled citizenship. And I will read this sentence to you. And it states, if you are not a U.S. citizen, a plea of guilty or nola contendere may result in your deportation, exclusion from admission to the country, or denial of naturalization under federal law. Do you understand that statement? Now, do you still want to go forward with your plea bargain agreement?
yes,
Okay, now also I have this document that is titled English, it says for all foreign nationals except those from mandatory notification countries. You stated that you not a U.S. citizen, you're from India, is that correct?
yes,
And India is not a mandatory notification country. Now, the last sentence in this document has your signature and it also has your printed name.
yes,
And it was witnessed by Attorney Reisinger. Is that correct?
yes, sir.
Is that correct, Attorney Reisinger?
That's correct.
Now, the last sentence states, do you want us to notify your consular officers at this time? And there's a circle around the word no. So you do not want us to notify your consular officers. Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay. Now, Mr. Penneru, before you signed, no, let me do this, Mr. Reisinger. Pursuant to Padilla versus Kentucky, did you admonish your client about the consequences of pleading guilty and no contest to these charges?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, now, Mr. Penneru, before you signed and initialed all of these documents, did your attorney go over these documents with you?
yes,
And did you read and understand everything in these documents?
yes,
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
yes,
And as far as you could be a US citizen, I admonished him that, you know, we don't know what a plea guilty could do as far as your status or gaining status to US citizenship. And he understands that, correct?
Okay. Here you go. Now, state, I have before me state's exhibit number 1. And state, would you like to offer state's exhibit number 1?
State would, Your Honor.
And the defense says no objection.
No objection, state's exhibit number 1 will be admitted. And Mr. Rising, you advise and counsel Mr. Penneru, is there any evidence that he is currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
No, he has assisted me throughout. He's not incompetent at all, Your Honor.
And Mr. Penneru, your attorney, Mr. Reisinger, has advised and counseled you. Are you satisfied with his representation?
Yes, sir.
Has he provided full, effective, and competent legal representation?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Penneru, I will accept your plea of guilty. I will also find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. And I will also find that your plea and waivers was freely and voluntarily given, and also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
Yes, Your Honor, we do.
And what is that agreement?
The agreement is for Mr. Penneru to serve 1 year of deferred probation,
What? And you defer, okay,
pay $1,500 fine,
$1,500,
and have 80 hours of community service.
80 hours community service. The court cost is 2. Okay, Mr. Penneru, the state is offering that you serve 1 year deferred adjudicated probation. During the 1 year probationary period, you'll be required to pay a fine of $1,500 plus court costs of $292. You'll also be required to pay a probation fee of $60 each month, or your analysis fee of $15 each month. You will also be required to pay or reimburse Jefferson County $15 fee. Your total monthly installments, that is the total amount that you'll be required to pay each month while you're on probation, is $246 a month. Will you be able to pay the $246 a month?
Yes.
You will also be required to perform 80 hours of community service, and you will be required to adhere to the other standard terms and condition of this probation. Mr. Penneru, do you understand the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
Do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just?
Yes, sir.
And do you accept the state's offer?
Yes.
Mr. Penneru, I'll follow the plea bargain agreement that you have entered into with the state. Mr. Penneru, if you successfully complete your probationary period, this case will not result in a conviction. Actually, the case will be dismissed, it will not result in a conviction. And you may be entitled to file a non-disclosure. You can talk to your attorney about the non-disclosure because he's quite competent in those matters. Now you're gonna stand in front of you need to have a seat. Just have a seat and our clerk is going to call you up. And when you call you up, please follow her directions. And once you finish following her directions, you'll be free to go and you have a blessed day. And Mr. Reisinger, you'll be free to go as well and you have a blessed day.
Thank you, you too.
All right, thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
Don't worry, I'll do it.
This is one of Lamar's cases.
Understood, Judge. So, well, if we could just get a reset for the next trial setting, if we don't have another prosecutor, then I'll try it.
Okay,
No fun.
okay. All right, give us okay.
Thank you, Judge.
It's gonna be reset on the trial docket. This is one of Lamar's cases. Mr. Galmore, coffee, you gotta,
Sorry. We'll do July 31st.
July 31st?
Yes.
Okay. Once you set, your attorney is gonna get your reset. Once you get your reset from your attorney, you'll be free to go and you have a blessed day. And what's your,
Mr. Pinero?
okay, Casey Odom?
You're right.
Okay, Casey Odom? Yes, it's a person on the iPhone. Okay, Mr. Odom?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I'm Patrick Gallagher. Do I need to turn my mute on or something?
Yeah, put it on mute. Thank you.
Sorry, sir.
This is cause number M330446, case of style, Tatum, Texas versus Christopher Paul Avilés. Mr. Avilés is on Zoom. Mr. Avilés, you can take your mic off of mute. Must not be able to hear me. Mr. Avilés, you can take your mic off of mute. Okay. How are you doing, Mr. Avilés?
I woke up pretty ill today, but hanging in there.
Okay, we hope that you're is feeling better.
He thinks he gets food.
Okay. Make sure you get, you see somebody to get, get treated for it. Now, Mr. Avilés, you're represented in this case by your attorney Dustin Galmore, and Attorney Galmore, what's your announcement on these cases?
Judge, it's still a trial.
Okay, give us a reset date, June 31st.
July.
You say July? July 31st, these cases are going to be set for trial. Now, Mr. Avilés, again, we pray that you have a full and speedy recovery. And the reason why your case is being reset is because the prosecutor who was handling the case is no longer with the district attorney's office, so they going to assign another prosecutor to it. So your case is reset to July 31st, 2023. You're free to go and you have a blessed day.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Next case is cause number M327596, case of style of state of Texas versus Patrick Daniel Gallagher. Mr. Gallagher is appearing via Zoom. Mr. Gallagher, how are you doing?
Fantastic, Your Honor. How you doing today?
I'm doing fine. Mr. Gallagher, you represented in your case by your attorney Dustin Galmore. And Mr. Galmore, what's your announcement? Is same announcement in this case as well?
That's right, Judge.
Okay. And Mr. You want to put it on the same date? Mr. Gallagher, your case is being reset to July 31st, 2023 for trial. And the reason why it's being reset out, the prosecutor who's handling the case is no longer with the district attorney's office. So the DA, the district attorney, has to assign another prosecutor to this case. So you're free to go, stay in contact with your attorney and your bondsman, and you have a blessed day.
You too, sir. Have a great day.
Thank you. Next case is cause number M331406. Case of style of state of Texas versus Stephen Anthony Sampson Jr. Stephen Sampson, would you please come forward? Mr. Sampson, this is cause number M331406, case of style of state of Texas versus Stephen Anthony Sampson Jr. Mr. Sampson, is that your full name?
Yes.
How are you doing, Mr. Sampson? That's good. Mr. Sampson, you're here represented by your attorney Dustin Galmore. And Attorney Galmore, you have the same announcement in this case?
Yes, Judge.
And Mr. Sampson, this case is going to be reset for trial. The prosecutor in this case is no longer with the district attorney's office, so they have to assign another assistant district attorney to the case. Okay, so your case is reset to July 31st of 2023. Your attorney's going to get your reset. Once you get your reset, you're free to go and you have a blessed day.
Thank you.
And Mr. Galmore, is this your last case?
I have one more, but we're holding on it. It's not on the trial docket.
Okay. And Mr. Paget, are you ready on any of your cases?
I hope all of us, I have that's it. Mr. Vargas is a plea. The other two are just,
Okay, we have on Zoom, we have cause number M331054, case of style of state of Texas versus Cameron D. Brown. Mr. Brown is appearing via Zoom. Mr. Brown, you can take your mic off of mute.
Hey, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking. Mr. Brown, you're representing your case by your attorney James Paget. Attorney Paget, how are you doing?
doing well, Your Honor.
And Mr. Paget, what is your announcement? And is this one of Lamar's cases? Okay,
Yes.
okay.
No,
Yes, on the trial docket. It's one of Lamar's cases.
Go.
So, Mr. Now, Mr. Paget, we're gonna keep it on the trial docket. Okay, Mr. Brown, this case is going to be reset on the trial docket. The prosecutor who's on this case is no longer working with the DA's office. And so the district attorney has to get another prosecutor assigned to the case. So your case is going to be reset. What date do we have? Okay, it's going to be reset to July 31st of 2023. Stay in contact with your attorney, your bondsman. Thanks for being patient with us. You're free to go and you have a blessed day.
Yes, sir. You have a blessed day as well.
All right, thank you.
Do have Mr. Rollins on Zoom as well, Your Honor.
Yeah, getting to the docket.
Okay, no problem.
Okay. Oh, that's a different one. Yes.
Got mine. I don't know how that.
Yeah. We got bond conditions in these cases. Check that second.
Let's talk about.
Some free trial.
What is that, the last one? When was the last one? 1 year. 7.2. Wow, that's. And then go for.
Okay, you can't have your phone on in court. Anybody phone, make sure your phone is on, it's turned off.
Am I listed on that 7?
No, you're not. Well, you're not on 04, which is 407, which is, I don't know. Yeah. Doesn't have you on 801, but it has you on 60.
60, yeah, I'm 60 and 04, so.
Oh,
The other one,
okay.
I need to get hired.
This one.
Wow.
Let me just keep that case.
It's on one. And another two.
Mr. Rojas said we were too earlier doing phase 2 for officers info. You know what the hell is he on the court call?
Brenda, I got bond conditions on the second case?
307. Should be, but let's.
Well, you got some,
Should have bond conditions.
right? Now, when did this third one occur?
That was
That's what
7,
we were just looking at.
2022, Joe.
It occurred right before the, I gave him the bond conditions on the second one. That must have just been pending. We probably saw it was, y'all had it in intake, but it hadn't been filed. Okay. Okay, let me do this now, Mr.